Today's episode of the podcast is a first. Today's episode is the first time that we have ever interviewed or spoken to a former Royal Marine, serving Royal Marine, or member of the Royal Marines family's child. Today we're interviewing little Harry Drake because he is doing something outstanding and phenomenal and truly selfless to help raise money for RMA, the Royal Marines charity. Now, the surname Drake may be familiar to a lot of you. You may know the story of Harry's dad, Matt. If you don't, I'm not going to spoil it because we spoke to Matt as well. Matt told us a little bit about his story, about what happened to him. And then we had a little bit of a chat to Harry to talk about what he's going to do to help support us and support his dad. So, without further ado, welcome to the Charlie 1 podcast with Matt and Harry Drake.
Matt, Harry, welcome to the Charlie 1 podcast, and thank you both for giving up your time to be here and to share both of your stories with the.
Hi, Mark. Yeah, good to be here. Thanks for having us.
How are you doing, Harry? You all right?
Yeah, good.
Listen, before we get started and we get into this, I just need you to know you are the first kid that we've had on the podcast. Everyone else has been boring, smelly old men like me and your dad.
Sure.
So you're the first kid to listen, mate. Thank you. I really, really appreciate you coming on doing this. So what I thought we'd do first of all is start with Dad, start with you, Matt. Tell us a little bit about your background as a former Royal Marine and what happened to you and what you're doing now. And then we'll move on to Harry and talk a little bit about the challenge that he's got coming up and how guys can support him.
Yeah, so I joined up in 2004 and been in the course since 2004 and I was with Lima Company, 4-2 Commando, and we were deployed in the Gulf region doing sort of short-term training team type jobs. And we had a bit of time off over Christmas, so we stopped off in Dubai. And what happened was we had a bit of organised R&R, a bit of adventure training. You know how things are in the Corps, Mark. You know, any opportunity to do a bit of adventure training is always a bonus because we're always really busy, aren't we? So I think that's probably the first time I'd done AT since I first passed out. I think I did AT when I first passed out, and then that was it. It's like, oh, brilliant! Time to do a bit of AT. Happy days.
What were you doing?
There was a bunch of different activities they had laid on in Dubai. One of the activities was a day out doing it's like a desert safari place where they do multi activities like ride a camel, go out in the sand dunes and do various things out there. And myself and a couple of the lads did the dune buggying, which was all well and good until we crashed.
Okay.
So a bit of a freak accident. You don't expect these things to happen, unfortunately. You expect, you go on ops to Afghan or Iraq, but the chances are someone's gonna, unfortunately, probably gonna get hurt.
Mm-hmm.
But this happened to me, during AT, and I broke my neck and my back in this sand dune crash. But the back break was the sort of major part of it because it damaged my spinal cord and I ended up paralysed from the chest down. So that was December 2016.
December
2016.
Mm-hmm.
That's when the accident happened, and since then it's obviously been a bit of a crazy time, really. Just trying to adjust to life with a spinal cord injury, going through my initial rehab, and now I'm kind of at the stage where I'm kind of trying to get myself prepared for civvy life. So that's the next hurdle, which is, because I haven't actually been discharged yet. I've still got a bit of time.
Are you still serving?
Yeah, I've got a couple more months, hopefully till you know, to sort of get as swept up and sorted as I can do. So yeah, it's been a bit of a strange old time, really. Yeah.
And so obviously I imagine, and I can relate a little bit to how it is to adjust, you know, to that instant life change, not just for yourself, but for your family. How is that? You know, it's been what, 3 years now? Just over 3 years.
It's been a hard time for everyone, you know. You know, it's still, you know, there still are things we're getting used to. Thankfully, we've now got the house adapted. So that was like a really big thing, because it means that you know, a lot of the pressure that was on Lauren and the boys has been taken off, where I can now get around the house fully independently.
Okay, great.
I don't really need anywhere near as much help as I did before. So even silly little things like going down to make a coffee, you know, it's another little thing, isn't it? You know, it doesn't sound like much, but out of all the things, if you're always asking for help all the time, you don't want to have to ask for coffee because it's just another thing.
Yeah.
I'm a bit of an avid hot wet drinker. Most bootnecks are, so I need at least 50 coffees a day.
But it's important, isn't it, to celebrate those small wins, you know, because that's another tick in the box. It's regaining that part of independence of your life. And if you're knocking back 50 a day, then it's important that you can do that yourself, I think, isn't it?
No, definitely. So things have, you know, got better from that respect. And then there's also, you know, the initial, when you first get injured, you're going day to day, aren't you? It's just all you're worried about is the day that's in front of you and what you're immediately doing, and the sort of rehab and adjusting and the unknown. Whereas now we're in a stage where we're kind of looking a bit further forward in time, as to what is going to be around the corner in the next year or so, and that obviously brings with it stress and worry, uncertainty still. So we're kind of going through that kind of stage at the moment, I think, you know, where it's more of the psychological aspect than the physical getting used to things, because at the end of the day, you know, a wheelchair kind of solves the problem, really. I can get about. It's all the other bits and pieces that you don't see, that's the stress and makes life hard, and the psychological parts as well. So it's I think we're all still coming to terms with stuff, really, I think, even now.
So do you have a plan, or are you just going to see how things unfold for a minute?
Well, the plan at the moment is looking at IT. So I've been doing some IT courses. Okay. Another really big win for me was got accepted by the Open University for the Disabled Veteran Scholarship Fund.
Oh, nice.
Even though I'm not actually a veteran yet, they took me on and started studying computer science with them. So that was really good. So it's given me kind of a goal to aim for, sense of purpose, like a track to go down. So that's kind of a long goal, is to complete that. So I'm working on that, as well as doing an IT work placement, which has been going fairly well. So it's been busy, definitely.
And I see on your Instagram, you get out and about, don't you? I've seen you out and about in the chair and with the, I forget what it's called, the kind of electronic bolt-on front piece. Yeah,
so that is a massive game changer. That is the electric power attachment for my wheelchair. It's called a Batek Electric, where Batek is the brand. It's like a Spanish brand, and it's basically an electric power attachment that clamps to the front of my wheelchair and turns me into like an electric powered trike. And that is a big old game changer, that, because before I had that, I was kind of stuck at home quite a bit, because you know good days and bad days, and a lot of the time it was a bad day. And even getting out through the front door, I live on a bit of a steep hill, so to get out and about was a fizz session. You know, to leave the house was basically means crack a fizz, because getting up the hill, it's just a hangout. And so even things like taking the dog out, you know, taking a kids, picking kids up from school or whatever, you know, just instantly just gave me, you know, a means to get out and about and that independence. So it's been like a real game changer, real life improvement, having that. And obviously that's one of the things we're going to come to later, I suppose, is that's one of the things the Royal News Charity helped me with, got me that. But yeah, that's one of the things they've done for me, which has really helped a lot. Yeah.
So who's faster, Harry? When you're on your bike and Dad's got his electronic attachment, who wins the races? You do.
even on the the cycle trail that goes down past CTC down to
field.
Yeah. So going along the cycle path, if someone goes to overtake him, like I don't know, a random person who's commuting, he instantly speeds up. If someone goes to overtake him, he instantly just has to speed up.
Yeah, that's that competitive nature.
Yeah. And I had some elderly gentleman. He basically said to me, "Oh, can you ask your lad to slow down a bit so I can get past him?" And I said, "Well, you're just gonna have to get on there, get past."
So you're quite fit, Harry, eh?
He's very, very competitive. He's very, bloody minded when it comes to that, aren't you?
Yeah. Should we talk a little bit about what you've got going on coming up? Because from what the girls in the office have told me, and from what I've read online from your fundraising page, in July you're going to be 10. Is that right?
Yeah, 10.
And you're going to do a sponsored run to try and raise money. How far are you going?
10K.
10K. Now, I can tell you now, I don't know if your dad would agree, but I think when we were 10, the idea of running 10 kilometers is pretty scary. That's a long way to go. I can't do the maths now. I know 1.6 kilometers is a mile, I think. So it must be about, 5 miles? 6 miles?
Yeah, just over 6 miles. I definitely never ran any distance like that when I was 10. So
absolutely not.
Yeah, it's a good, strong, ambitious distance for a 10-year-old. Yeah.
Yeah. So how's your training going, Harry? Have you been out there getting many miles on the clock?
Yeah, we when I get back from school, sometimes we normally go for a run in the evening after tea, and we might do some days.
Yeah. And are you enjoying it?
Oh yeah, we did run up and down the hill.
Hill sprints.
Yeah, hill sprints.
You've been getting hammered by your dad, have you?
Yeah, because you obviously got to finish off with a few hill sprints, and because we live on a nice little hill, it's obviously get a few hill sprints in at the end, and that's where you get the gains, isn't it?
Yeah, you got to use that environment around you, the sickener, to finish off feeling good. So I'm just assuming here, and I'm guessing that you haven't just gone out and ran 10 kilometers straight away. You're slowly building up to 10 kilometers, yeah?
Yeah.
So what's the furthest that you've gone so far?
Probably 3.
No, you're doing about 4.5, 5 nearly.
Oh yeah?
It was. Your legs were definitely feeling it, though, weren't they? Yeah. But
yeah, is that pretty tough?
Yeah. My legs ache some push for me. Yeah.
That's right. And knowing how you feel doing that kind of distance, how do you feel about doing the whole 10K? Think it's going to be tough?
Yeah, definitely. It's going to be tough. So yeah, I just need to just push through it, and I'll do it. Yeah, I'll definitely will do it. Yeah. It's going to be tough.
how do you think you're going to feel once you've done it?
I'm going to feel happy.
Yeah.
Happy.
So I can tell you one thing. I think you've got a lot of support from everyone at the charity. Your name comes up quite a lot in the office. Everyone's talking about your training for this run, because it is a big deal, mate. You may not think it is, but it's a big deal for someone as young as you to run that far. So one of the things that I used to do, and I think a lot of people do when they do challenges like this, because they do get tough, sometimes you've got to go inside your head and motivate yourself and push yourself to go a little bit further. And I've found it always helps to have a reason why you're doing it. You know, that thing that gets you motivated and makes you want to push on a little bit further. So when you get tired, you know, and your legs are a bit tired and it feels like it's a long way to go, what are you going to think about to try and get you fired up and motivated to keep going?
I'm just gonna feel like, yeah, I got this. Just, I mean, once I finished it, I'll feel really good, and I just need to push through it, and you know, I need to just, I've got it, and once I've done it, I'll be really happy, and everyone will be so happy. So I just need to push through it.
Yeah, I think you're going to make a lot of people really proud as well. So, what's been the most fun so far in your training, and what has been the most challenging?
Most fun is probably like just getting a good pace and just like flying through it.
Getting into the rhythm.
Yeah, getting into the rhythm, and then the challenging bit is the hill sprints at the end, and when my legs ache, just need to push through it. Yeah.
I think he's you're just kind of getting used to understanding your body and feeling like, you know, knowing how to push himself, I suppose, and understand what it feels. Because obviously, if you just run to within your limits each time, you won't gain that much more. So each time you've got to go a little bit further and a little bit faster and gradually build it up. So
yeah, that's the secret. I think that's the secret way to do it.
Yeah.
Now, you're not just running 10 kilometers for fun, are you? You're doing it as a fundraiser. And who are you raising money for?
The One Wings charity.
And why did you choose the One Wings charity?
Because they've helped my dad like a lot, you know, with stair lift and yeah, a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
And, like the hand cycle.
Yeah, they've helped me a lot, haven't they, Harry?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, the bits and the certain things that the One Wings charity have helped me with have been definitely, you know, massive improvement to my life, definitely.
Well, can I say, on behalf of the One Wings charity, thank you for choosing us and for doing what you're doing. I've said it 3 or 4 times now, but I'm going to say it again. It is very hard what you're doing, and not a lot of 10-year-olds around that would do that distance, mate. So you should be very, very proud of yourself. Now, earlier I shared your page on my personal Facebook to try and get you a couple more likes. So I know there's that page kind of following your progress. I'm assuming that you've got an online fundraising page. Is it a Just Giving page?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, so what I'll do after this is I'll go and find that, and I'll get the link, and I'll push that around so people can see it and they can support you, and hopefully throw a couple of pounds your way and help you reach your target. I'll continue to push your other page around so people can see your progress, and I'm going to let everybody know what it is you're doing, because like I said, there's a lot of support out there for you, mate, and hopefully they'll send you some nice messages to encourage you and support you. And maybe you can think of those, you know, when you get a bit tired and the legs are hurting a little bit, you can think of all those people back here that are really wanting you to do this and do well. Okay? Oh, one last thing actually, before we wrap up. Now with this is going to be a bit challenging now with this whole lockdown thing and people not being able to go out, you know, as much as they did. Do you have some sort of training plans? You know, do you have a treadmill, or are you going to do some sort of different kind of training to keep your fitness up?
Might do some hill sprints, just near the house.
Yeah, that's not very far, is it? We can just nip out and do that. We could do some circuit training.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure your dad will figure out some sort of beating circuit. Yeah, lots of burpees. Well, guys, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. And Matt, thank you for sharing part of your story. Harry, thank you for sharing yours. I will get this out there as far as I can, and then maybe towards the middle, maybe the end of June, just before your birthday, we can call you up again, see how you're getting on, see how far you progressed, and then again, get people to follow your progress and support you on the day.
Yeah.
Is that okay?
Yep.
All right, guys. Listen, I appreciate it. Thank you very much. Enjoy the lockdown, whatever it is that you're going to do. I'll get this edited and out there as soon as I can.
Yeah, cheers, Mark.
All right, guys. Thank you.
Now, I don't know about you, but when I was 10 years old, the last thing that was on my mind was running 10 kilometers. You know, I'd struggle to run a bath when I was 10 years old. So running 10 kilometers, I'm sure you'll all agree, is a phenomenal effort. And it just goes to show, you know, what members of the core family are made of. It doesn't matter who you are, you know, what your background is, where you're from, whatever, your age or anything. There's just something about members of the core family that's different. And Harry's proven that. So I don't know what's going to be going on with the whole coronavirus and lockdown thing. The date that he runs might slide right slightly. We may be able to go out and support him, we may not. But through our social media, through our Facebook, our Instagram and our Twitter, we'll keep you up to date. And hopefully things will all be back to normal by then and we can all go out there and show this special little boy the support that he deserves. Guys, thanks for listening as always. Thank you for your support. Thank you for sharing the podcast, for rating the podcast, for leaving your reviews. Every little bit helps. We're trying to get as much content out there to you as possible. I hope it's valuable. I hope you're enjoying it. Thank you all.